If you're not using mountains in your D&D campaign, you're doing it wrong. So let's actually talk about how to use mountains both tactically, thematically, and what to use them for. Because are they just big rocks sticking out of the ground or not? Let's talk about it. The most obvious way to use mountains when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons is to impact overland travel. Here's the thing. Mountains don't mean you can't make it across. It means you have a skill challenge in front of you. In fact, a lot of times traversing over the mountains can be faster than going around the mountains, but it could be more dangerous. Maybe there's mountainous passes that you have to go through that are haunted by yetis, by snow trolls, by ice dragons, by Behir. You name the monster. Put it in the mountains. That's the thing that's keeping you over there. And the thing is, it's not like you have a bunch of paths to choose from. You have to take the mountain pass. The pass over the mountain or the pass under the mountain. The bottom line is that if you have mountains, even if they're a small range, a series of cliffs, it can create a choice for the party. Do you go over the mountains and you actually encounter the risk? And the risk has to be something grand that would push players away. Or do you go around the mountains? And what happens depending on that choice? The longer it takes, maybe there's shadows affecting a village. Go over the mountains, you have less to deal with when you get across. Go around the mountains, the entire village has been wiped out by the time you get there. Remember, mountains are a choice, something to give your players an obstacle that can affect what happens on the other side. Remember though, if you put mountains or something in front of your players every single time, and they always take the longer path, and there's always a negative consequence, you're going to force their hand to start taking that shorter path. Maybe you want to do that, but maybe that seems limiting to your players. Food for thought. If you're using mountains in your D&D campaign, there is a tactical advantage that can be used. Mountainous terrain will a lot of time have cliffs, paths, height advantage, and so you can use that to your advantage. Maybe there are goblins atop of cliff that you're down below and having to work your way up, meaning that the goblins are getting pot shots as the players move. Are they using resources? Are they firing back? What does that combat actually look like? That height advantage doesn't need to just be, hey, they're up here, you're down here. Maybe that's a reason that the mage uses fly, levitate. Maybe they catapult the dwarf up. Maybe you throw the halfling up the cliff so they can start attacking the goblins that are up there. The bottom line is use the terrain to your advantage, but let the players use the terrain to their advantage as well. If you're using mountains in a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, whether it's encounter-based and campaign-based, or it's part just of the backdrop, altitude poses its own challenges. Think about Mount Everest. What happens when you climb all the way to the top? Fantasy mountains could be taller than even Everest. The air could become even thinner. Maybe you need a resource that keeps you breathing. There's so many things that the altitude can bring, including snow, colder climates, massive storms. Just because you're dealing with mountains doesn't mean that there's the ones that have to be the showstopper. It can bring in fog, can bring in snow, can bring in torrential rains, it can bring in flooding because you don't have all of the trees holding things down so the water just runs across the land. Or maybe you're in a valley inside the mountains and when it rains, the valley starts to fill up, releasing something from the deep. Well, or the height of the mountains that then feeds on all of the things that come out with a good torrential downstorm. The bottom line is that mountains change the terrain. They change the environment. Mountains themselves, mountain to be the show, it may bring everything that altitude brings as well. Keep that in mind. A mountain isn't a single peak. It can be an entire rising of the land, bringing an entirely new atmosphere biome that the players didn't even know existed because so few people have even gone into the mountains. When dealing with mountains in any TTRPG or storytelling for that matter, mountains can bring up natural obstacles. Natural obstacles aren't talking about a giant peak. It's the river that runs through the mountains, the mountain pass that zigzags up the mountain, the pass that an ancient civilization carved along the sides of a cliff, leaving nothing but the width of your feet to actually traverse across, meaning falling causes certain death. Do you take precautions or do you risk it to move faster? Those passes, those winding passes, those rivers that cut through the mountains, the passing or paths that go over the mountains, the roads that go around mountains, mountains create those obstacles in terrain that aren't just mechanical. They're not just thematic. It's something that shows people that can take people to different locations. Mountains can also hide very special places. A temple atop the middle of a mountain. The temple that's in the valley, hidden deep within the mountain ranges that has been long lost, forgotten to time. a long-lost pyramid from a long-lost civilization, and something happened to wipe them out, hidden inside the depths of the mountain, in a ravine next to a volcano that warms the surrounding area, creating a jungle as the warm water slowly melts off of the icy tops and into the basin. You get the drift. Mountains create different environment and different terrain obstacles, and you should be using all of them. Finally, when it comes to mountains in D&D, flora and fauna. Mountains are ideal for magical plants and magical creatures. Why? Because they are. It's a fantasy setting. If you're not littering your mountain with Medusas for caves, or owlbears, or dragons, both red dragons. Did you ever create a brown dragon? You do with it what you want. The bottom line is that magical mountains are a great home for magical creatures. And so mountains a lot of times are shrouded in myth and legend, and you should be using them as such. So guys, this is just a series about magical mountains. Mountains, large mountains, tiny mountains, big mountains, mountains that hold secrets. In the end, mountains are an amazing tool for a dungeon master telling a story, a way for you to hint at things that could be hidden within the mountains. And the mountains could hide hundreds or even thousands of myths and legends and minds of things from the past. So guys, as always, if you like, please subscribe, comment, and we'll see you, as always, next time.